Hi guys, Melissa here with TCT Crafts. Welcome. Today we are going to make an Easter wreath, and we are going to be using this pink 24-inch artificial pine wreath base. Kind of the theme for this tutorial is using what we have left, using leftovers. So I have picked a bunch of little things that I had onesie, twosies of, and we're going to make it work. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to use leftover 10-inch mesh that we had from another project. Now, because this is a pink wreath base, I'm okay with some of these pine showing because it kind of goes with our Easter theme, the pink and the greens. So we don't have to use quite as much mesh. We can leave the mesh curls a little bit further apart. So let's cut about let's cut maybe 4 of each color to start. And I just drop it on the floor. Hold it up to my chin and cut around my belly button. You can make them a little smaller this time if you want, because we're okay with this pink pine showing. So we don't need as much coverage. So let's start. Let's go ahead and let's do 5, just to be, I think that'll be plenty. So I'm going to set that one aside, and look, we still have more for another project. I'm going to cut 5 of each color. I'm cutting them a little bit smaller this time, just because I don't need as much coverage. I want some of this pink pine to show. That's the purpose of using the pink wreath base, right? So we can see it. Okay, let's do 5 of the pink. Okay, so let's start with that. Again, if we need more, we can add more. I think that's going to be plenty. So we're going to start, I start up on my chest, and I roll the ends in just a couple times, and then just kind of squish it in the middle. Okay, you can also do it on the table. You can roll, scrunch. So roll the ends in, use your fingers and kind of walk it, and then roll the end in. So either way, however you choose to do it. So I'm going to go on the outside ring. This is a 2-ring wreath base. So I'm going to start on the outside. And just push that mesh down in there. Got a little blue string hanging there. Okay, I'm going to leave a little bit of space, just because we want some of this pink to show. We're okay with it. So I'm not doing them quite as close together as I normally would. I'm just going in with the natural jute, poly jute, just because it kind of goes with our bunny. So let me show you our little bunny. So he's got his little brown face, so that's why I kind of brought in a little bit of that tan color. And then I brought the black and white check in because it kind of goes with his hat. So that's kind of where I got my colors from. Was from Mr. Bunny. Okay, I'm just twisting those. I twist them about 2 times usually. you can see on this one, we're not as close together as some of our designs, just because I'm okay with this pink showing through there. If it was the green Christmas vases like we normally use, the green artificial pine, I would want it covered for spring. I don't want to see that artificial green. Wintertime it's okay, but for spring I like to cover it. So I would use more mesh, more picks and sprays, and just try to cover that. This little pink one, perfect for spring. Okay, let's see this color. And we just had a few of these pink ones left, so I went ahead and grabbed one of those since I'm trying to get rid of some of my onesie-twosie items. Oh, forgot to take the little tag off. Get that. Okay. I'm gonna switch. My Amiibo is on, I think I have it on auto director, so it keeps switching views on me, so I apologize for that, but hopefully it turns out okay where you guys can see. I'm still learning how to use the multicam Amiibo, so I used just the single one for a while, and now I have two so that I can try to get different angles, but I'm still learning all the tips and tricks. So y'all bear with me. A few more weeks and I think I'll probably have it down. Okay, we're almost done with this outside ring, and then we're just going to add just a couple to the inside. So we'll have 3 that we'll put on the inside, and I think that's going to be plenty because our bunny head is pretty large, and so he's going to take up a lot of real estate in there. I think 3 will be plenty. Okay, so I'm just going to come on the inside a little bit, find the inner ring ties. Might do one more just so we have kind of we have even coverage. So I did left, right, top, bottom. So let me cut one more of this one. We'll stick it right here across from the other one. Perfect. Okay, we have our wreath base. I'm going to give it a little swish just to kind of elongate it just a little bit and create some more closeness in the center for our bunny to sit on. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So now let's take our bunny. So this bunny, talking about our using what we have left and leftovers, actually came off another wreath. So I had him attached to a grapevine wreath that didn't sell. I don't know why, because it was super cute, but it didn't sell. So we're going to reuse him. I just took him off. Now I'm going to take off this little bow, just because we're going to create our own bow. And so I want this green bow to go. So I'm going to very carefully see if I can take this off of here. Starting to come up. So Let me clip this. It's got a wire right in the middle of it, so my scissors are struggling with cutting it. Let me get my bowl cutters. Okay, so I took the bow off. Don't worry about this part. He's going to get covered up. It's going to get covered up with our own bow. It has a little piece right in there. I'm trying to push it back up. There we go. Mr. Bunny is going to sit right in the center pocket. Right in there. So I'm going to take and add a bunch of glue on him. And I don't know if very carefully, I'm going to flip this. I'm not sure if in my design studio I brought, let me look. I'm going to look for some floral pins. I don't know if I brought any up here. I may need to still bring some floral pins up here. So I don't have the floral pins, so what I'll do is when I get done, I'm just going to take, you can take some of floral pins and just kind of pin them from the bunny to like your mesh or your pine ties. Just do a floral pin and because he's foam. So that'll give it some extra support as well. So I will do that when I get back down to the shop. But in the meantime, I'm going to add a bunch of glue. But those floral pins will help keep him in place as well. So we'll add those later. Okay. So now we have our cute little bunny in there. Super cute. Now let's work on, so we're going to create our own bow right down here underneath his chin. So let's work on our bow next before we start putting in our fillers. So I'm going to set him to the side. And I'm going to bring out my bow maker. Easy bow maker. And we're going to be using a couple different ribbons. So I brought in this black with the sort of buffalo check on the edge to kind of tie in with his hat. So these are some rolls, some leftover spools of ribbon I had. So let me see how long I want his tail. Probably about right there. So the tail is going to be about 12 inches. Give or take, once we trim it. And I'm going to make these loops about 7 inches. About 7 inches. Twisting there in the center. So we want the pretty side up. And scrunching that down. Okay. Now let's go in with a 2.5. So that was a 4 inch. Now let's go in with this 2.5 tan scalloped edge. I love the scalloped edge ribbon. We have it in all different colors. I just love it. So this is going to tie in again with our bunny. So we're going to add a little bit of this in here. This time I'm going to go about 6.5, so just about 1/2 inch shorter. just scrunch it down and look perfect. We just had a little bit left, so we'll have just, by the time I cut this, we'll have just enough left to maybe do a couple tails with it. So let me save that. Okay, now let's go in with pink. This is a 1 inch or 1.5 inch twist so that we have the pretty side up. I'm going to go in about a 1/2 inch shorter. This is a really pretty ribbon. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. I think it's a faux dupioni. Dupioni? Is that how you say it? Y'all don't quote me on that. How you say that, but that's what it is. Okay, now let's go in with a green check. I brought in another check pattern, this time in the green. And we're going about 1/2 inch shorter again. Perfect. Okay. Let me cut that. All right, let me get a zip tie. And let's get a pipe cleaner ready. So I'm going to take 2 pipe cleaners and put them together. I like to have that extra length, just so I'm not fighting that grapevine as much. Not grapevine. So I'm not fighting that wreath base as much. I still fight it, even with having 2, but it helps not having it so short. Okay, so I'm going to slide this zip tie right through underneath my ribbons. We're going to tie it, but not all the way tight, just because we want to be able to move this right in the center and add this pipe cleaner right through the back. And then we can take our loops, kind of put them how we want them, get our tails how we want them before we scrunch it really tight. Okay, now I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to get rid of the bow maker now because I think we're done with the bit. If we do, we might do a little half bow, but those I can do by hand. The big bows I still struggle with. Let's bring our little bunny right back over here. And let's put our bow right underneath his chin here. I'm going to go through the mesh. Just to give it a little bit more to hang on to. We'll fix our loops and stuff in a minute. And then I'm going to turn around and tie it around the ring of this wreath base. Tie it nice and tight. And then we'll clip off the excess. Okay. So now we have our cute little bow. Much better than that other bow that was on it. Not that it wasn't cute, but this is just better. Okay, so now let's do our dovetails. I'm just going to cut them at various lengths. Okay, and let's do this side. make sure I got them all. Yep, I'm gonna cut that one a little bit shorter. There we go. So here's Mr. Bunny with his cute little bow. Now let me see where I want to add some more ribbons. Let's add maybe like a half bow right up in here. So we'll go right in this area. Let me start with this black. And I'm just going to pinch in the middle. Make a loop. And pinch. Okay. Now let's see. Let's skip this one because we only had just a little bit of that. Well, I'm trying to think if I want it in a tail or if I want it in the bow. I guess maybe we put it in the bow. Okay, we'll put it in the bow. I'm going to cut this tail shorter, so I'm not worried about it being shorter. Let's give a little bit more of a loop. There we go. Let's take our pink. I'm going to leave the tail on the pink just because I don't know how long I want the outside tails to be just yet. Make this green one just a hair smaller. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of that leftover pipe cleaner that I cut off just to keep these together, and then we're going to use the pink pine ties on the wreath to actually hold it in place. Okay, I'm going to fix my loops once I get it in. So I want it right up in this area up in here. So we're going to just twist those pink pine ties around. This green loop I want to make a little bit smaller, so I just pulled on that tail. Okay, so I'm going to cut these shorter. And then this outside, trying to see if I want to cascade it down or just do tails. Let's see. Trying to see if I want to do a little loop or just keep it as the tail. Let's just keep it as a tail. I do the loops a lot, so let's just keep it as a tail. Keep it long, so we got a short tail and a long tail. Let's see. I may pull these tails up. And then leave these tails down. So just manipulate those tails wherever you want them to go. Let me cut the tails on the top ones into dovetails. And once I hang it up, it'll be easier to kind of place that ribbon. But we can always, once we get it where we like it, take a little bit of glue, a little bit of hot glue, and just glue it right down to that mesh, and it'll hold it exactly where we want it. Same thing with the tails. If you don't want the tails to move, just take a little bit of hot glue, and you can just glue it down. But for now, I'm going to leave it, just because we have other things to put in it. So I don't know how it's going to flow yet. Now over here, let's just do a tail. So I'm going to do a little bit shorter tail up top and then a little bit longer going down. And let's get this pink. And the green. Okay, so I'm just going to pinch this and put this right up the top of here. Twist it into that pine tie. Now let's cut our dovetails. I don't like the way this black one cuts, so I'm going to pull it just a hair and recut the dovetail on this. It cut a little funny. There we go. That's better. That gives us more of a V. So that's what we have so far. We have a little half bow up here. And we have our big bow, which has gotten squished, but we'll fix it. And then some tails over there. So now let's add a few tails around the wreath. And I'm going to pull in. So I'll have just a little bit of this pink scalloped ribbon. Just a little bit left. So in the theme of using our leftovers, I want to get rid of this. So I know it's not in our bows, but that's okay. It's going to add a little pop of extra on the sides with just our pink scalloped ribbon. So I'm going to twist these in. And I'm just going to keep this just the pink. And then we'll put a couple of that other pink and the green together. But this one will just be kept by itself. So I put one here. I'm going to go one up in this area just because I want to balance it out. And we only have just a little bit left. So I'm going to put a tail right on this side. Okay, now let's go up at the top. I don't measure, I just put it in there and kind of see how long I want it and then cut and then just dovetail it. I used to measure, but I don't anymore. I don't have time for that. But if you like to measure, go right ahead. And let's do maybe one at the bottom. right in between our bow, so that it's gonna almost kind of look like it's part of the bow, but it's not. There we go. Okay, now let's go in. I'm done with the black and the white. Let's go in a couple places and put our pink and green together. So I'm just going to put the green on top. And I'm going to go around and add a few of these tails. There, let's skip because we have our bow that has that in it. Let's put one right in here. Sort of right next to the pink and white scalloped one we have. And then let's do one right here next to this pink one. And I think that'll be good on our ribbon. So I used up leftover pink scallop. We just kind of made it work. All right, my little tails up here are giving me fits. So we probably will glue that down once we get it how we want it. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Super cute. Now let's work on stuffing it with all the fillers and all the goodies. So our basics are down, we got our ribbon in, we got our mesh in, we got our focal point in. Now it's the fun part of just adding our little fillers and our little extras that we want to add to this wreath. So let's start with, I brought in, I had one of these left from another project. So we're going to pull it apart and we're going to make it work. I'm going to show you how we can just use just a little bit of something just to add. By the time we get done adding everything else, it's going to be perfect. So I'm going to cut these. Okay. So this is going to give us 4 pieces. So I'm going to dry run and just kind of place where I want these at. And we can always even make them, we can pull these off and give us some more if we need to. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut this one down. This will give us another piece. If I cut this one down, that gives us, so now we have got, let me see if I can do this one too. Yeah. So I'm just cutting the middle stem, it's a little thicker, and that's going to give us extra pieces. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 pieces now. So that's going to give us plenty to go around the wreath. Just going to kind of dry run, place these. This one I'm going to bend just a little and then kind of go in. I'm tucking them in there pretty good. So they, you know, we want a little bit of, I'm going to fix this one. I don't like the way that one's laying. We want a little bit of whimsy and movement, but we don't want it having its own party. Looking like it wasn't invited. Alright, so I'm going to stick this one way up under there. I don't like that. Let's do it more in the center. That's better. I said that was better, but I don't like how high it's sticking. Let's look for a shorter one. I'm very picky when it comes to how far stuff sticks out. I know it probably, to most people, it wouldn't matter, but I notice it, so, okay. Now let's go. Bend that one a little bit down. Okay, we have 2 pieces left. I'll place that one right there. And okay, so the Mevo stopped recording. Hopefully we didn't lose too much. So basically, just to recap, I took this leftover 1 pink Eva bush and just cut it up into little pieces and made it stretch all the way around. So now I'm going to go and just dip it in my glue pot and glue these in. We're just tucking those in there. I'm making sure it's touching the pine ties and the mesh. Just tucking that down in there. So we took 1 bush, cut it up, and that'll be sort of 1 layer of our items that we're going to be adding in here. So when you got multiple picks and sprays that you're going to add, you can get away with just having a little bit of each, because all take the sum, right? The total of all, you know, comes out perfect. I'm just going to wrap the pine tie around this one, just because I didn't like the placement of that. So I wrapped it just to give it a little bit extra. I'm going to wrap the pine around that. Okay. We're back to where we started. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more glue on this one. There we go. Okay, so we're done with our first spray that we put in there. We went all the way around it. Now let's go in. I brought some leftover this is like what I call 60909's sister cousin. It's the supplier that I used, it's their version. But I had 2 that I had pulled left over from another project. So we're going to add some of this. Just going to cut this down because I don't want it long. Cut these. Okay. And these little pieces you could take and you can curl however you want them. I'm just going to kind of fluff these apart. Give it some movement. Let's place one. I think we're going to place one down in the center. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that in. Okay, let's take this one. I think I want to put it, give it some movement. Give it a little bit of a bend. And then I think we're going to put it right next to yeah, we're going to put it right there, right next to the bunny. So let me glue that in. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take my last piece of this one. And we're going to put it right up to the side of this hat. I'm trying to find a good spot. There we go. I'm going to wrap this pink tie around one of the branches. Okay, now we're going to take the other one. So these are 2 I had pulled for another project and didn't use them. So I'm going to go ahead and use them in this one. We're going to pull it apart again into 3 sections. And I'm going to cut this down fairly short. And I'm going to go on the other side of his hat now. And I'll fluff this one out once I get it in there. Okay, I'm going to take one of these pink ties and wrap it around. And then I'm going to kind of fluff these out. I'm going to give these little branches little curlicues. Okay. Now let's go in. Let me cut this down a little bit. Ow, my fingers. Give this a little bit of a bend. Let's go in kind of right close to his, kind of close to his head like we did on the other side. Let me see. There we go. Okay, I'm going to glue that in now. take this last one here and put it kind of up right under his chin. There we go. So we've taken this one, I'm just gonna kind of fluff these out, spread them out a little bit. And we've gone in with that one. So now we've gotten rid of another spray from something else that I had out. Now I brought in, so I had 3 of these little pom-poms, super cute. And so let's add some of these. I'm gonna cut these into little pieces. I may not use the blue just because we don't really have anything blue in here. So I think I'm gonna put the blue aside. And let's just use the pink and the green. So we'll have 3 pieces of pink and 3 pieces of the green. So I'm just gonna kind of alternate the colors. Okay, so let's start with the pink. I'm going to go more towards the outside with these, just to kind of right on the outside there, like that. I'm going to tuck that in there, right on touching that pine. Okay. So let's go now in with a green. I'm going to put it right in this area right here. Okay, now we'll go in with a pink. And let's go the green. And let's tuck in a pink. Trying to see where I want this one, right up in this area. Yes. So right up kind of behind this little half bow. I'm going to kind of bend them down just a hair. Okay. And our last one, we'll put up here. There we go. So I just placed those in kind of just some sporadic little places, just around the pink and the green. So that gives us just another little layer of items. Now let's see, I brought in some of these cute little chocolate picks. I thought that would be cute because the Easter Bunny, right? So, trying to see if I want to keep it all together or cut them into little pieces. So let me see. I've got a couple of these. Oh yeah, let's keep it together right behind that bow. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dip it in my glue pot and stick it down in there. Okay, so there's one of those. I brought 3. I have 3 of these left. I don't know. Let's see. So we've got one there. Let's do one maybe down under the bow here. And then let's do one on the side. Now we kept those two together. Let me see. I like that. Okay, let's keep it right there. Okay, so now we have our cute little chocolate sprays. Now let's see, I brought in some carrots. So let's add a few of these. This I got last year from Hobby Lobby. So again, we're bringing in a little bit of our black and white. Let me see where I want. All right, I've got some holes that we want to fill in. So I want to put one right there next to his face and fill in that spot. So I'm just going to add a bunch of glue here and tuck it down in there. And I'm going to add a little bit right on the back there so that it touches that. Okay, now let's see where we want the other one. I don't want it super matchy-matchy, but I kind of want it close to there because I think that looks good. So I'm going to add some glue and have him sit right in there. And then I have some little ones of these too. So let's get the big ones placed and then we can go around with some little ones later if we need to. So maybe right up back behind his head or his hat. Okay. So now we have sort of the triangle with the carrots. And then I have the little ones that we can add later. I also brought in a couple of egg kits. These were Hobby Lobby last year. So I'm going to not use the blue just because we didn't pull any blue in this design. So basically it's going to give us 2 eggs. And let's see where we want to place them. I think I want to take this bow off of here. There we go. Okay, I brought in some of these lamb's ear. I thought would be really pretty, just kind of tucked in here. So let's do that before we see if we want to add any more of the carrots. I think we probably may just leave those 3, but I do have some more carrots if we want to bring some in. So I'm going to cut this up into smaller pieces. So we're going to have little pieces that we can use to kind of tuck in some of the holes that we have. I'm just going to cut these down into smaller sections. Let's cut up like at least 3 and we'll see if we need more. I'm going to cut these into smaller little pieces. Let's do one more. Okay, so let's start with that. We can add more if we need to, but let's start with this. So I'm just going to take these little pieces. We may need to cut these down, the stems down just a hair. I don't need them really long. And I'm just going to go kind of tuck in a few little places. Now we're not trying to cover up the pines on this one because we want some of that pink to show through, but we just want to kind of cover up maybe a little bit, fill in some little holes where we just kind of need a little something, just a little something. So I'm going to check this one. Let's see. I want it to go kind of right in there, but we may not be able to